And coming in at number 2 this week is Ancient Magus' Bride, which this is the Chisei show.
Yeah.
This is like, with Land of the Lustrous, how it focused on foes and building foes as a character with little of anything else. This episode follows the same sort of routine. This is build up Chisei, and it really does a good job at it. They're back from their fight at the graveyard. Ruth is settling in. He's getting to know himself as a dog, as a person, and as a fairy. But Elias is shut himself in his room. He won't come out for food or nothing for 2 weeks. So she just she meets up with
I don't remember.
Angelica.
Yeah. They go to town. Time to do some shopping and everything. Hit the town, do those girl things.
Yeah, and Angelica sort of dime store psychoanalyzes her. Because she really starts to question Chisei and why she does certain things. It's like, you don't have to be, just devote yourself to him like that, and she refers to her as selfish, and Chisei, at first she can't, handle the psychoanalyzation. She gets a little mad, and then starts apologizing for it right away. She feels so bad, and, Angelica's like, see, this is kind of what I'm talking about, I'm not, doing it justice, really, explaining it, but it's sort of, she's emotional, she went through everything she's gone through. Elias isn't talking to her, he isn't seeing her, and she doesn't have the balls to just go in the room. And she's upset with herself, she's upset with Elias, and finally, with the words of Angelica on her mind, Ruth just sort of lays it out for her. She goes in the room and almost fucking dies.
Yes, so Elias was in there edgelording, and he's kind of really going through that, what is it, Lovecraftian horror stage right now.
Yeah.
So really...
He's like a thorn snake.
Thorns and he's
bird
rolling
thing
all over the place, and
basically just says, look, this is the form that I can easily hold right now, so I can't change back. And she's like, that's fine.
That's fine. I'm totally fine with that because I'm cursed too.
Yeah, and they sleep in the bed together, and she has a dream about her mom basically saying, I wish I never had you. It's a little depressing, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's like she has a vision of Elias hanging over her, about to bite her face off. But then she looks again, and it's her mother saying, I wish I never had you. And she wakes up, and there's nothing there. And just a note from Elias supposedly, I guess, explaining where he went or what he was doing. And then there's
it's kind of irrelevant.
It is. Well, no, it's relevant. It's relevant later, in a way. And then he meets. They go looking for Elias. He's gone.
Yeah, they go looking for Elias, and something we haven't mentioned is that there's a lot of running from Chisei in this episode. There's just a lot of shots of her running across the countryside, running through fields, running through the forest.
Running to the church just to blow the dude off.
Yeah, she's like, is Elias there? No. Okay, bye.
Yeah. And they come to a rose, a dude who's his house is covered in fucking roses. And she sees, I can't remember what the word they used for it.
Yeah, it's some kind of Irish or Gaelic word.
But Ruth calls it a vampire.
You can't pronounce these words, by the way, because of the language they're from.
But Ruth refers to it as a vampire. And Chisei sort of just hangs out with him, has tea with him, and reads a book. And just has this quiet moment with this dude who can't see the vampire. I'm just gonna call it that. It's a fairy. It's a fae of some type.
Yeah.
That isn't sucking on his blood, isn't giving it. Apparently, its ability is it helps somebody who's solely focused on a thing be better at that thing, but in exchange, it feeds on that person's blood.
Mm-hmm.
She's not doing that. She just wants to be there with that dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it sort of gives Chise a little perspective on herself and her own situation with Elias. Until finally they find Elias, and he's doing his best to retain his old form by just sort of laying in a pond.
Yeah, he's just planking there, and
oh yeah, he's just he's literally planking.
Shot. They're just like looking straight onto him, and he's just. Well, we can't do that right here because of studio limitations, but he's just planking right as his spawn. And
Chise basically lays it out to him. She's like, I am tired of the lies. I'm tired of the half-truths. Every time I ask you a question about yourself, you change the subject or you disappear. You know, I can't, I've said I'll be with you, but I can't take this. And he feels bad, but at the same time, it's like he's still trying to lie to her. He's like, look, I can't tell you everything. I want to, but I can't. Just trust me that I will someday. And she even says, I know he's lying to me, or at least I think he is.
She's like, I think he's lying to me. He's gotta be real, but he's gotta be lying to me at this moment.
And it shows this weird little splinter between the two, despite the fact that she's claimed her devotion and she's claimed, that she's going to be his wife and everything. There's this weird little splinter in this episode, and it really sort of shows Chise growing a little more. She's not just confused all the time or looking like the helpless. She's actually growing as a character, and I'd like this episode for that.
Yeah, it was a really, really strong moments for that and everything.
And I think it was a good episode. It really, really was. A lot of the episodes this week weren't really heavily action-packed. They were really softer episodes that really, devoted themselves to really character.
Yeah, a lot of character arcs here, except for maybe Inuyashiki, but...
But, so, with that said, it's going to be interesting to talk about our number one this week, which we're going to do.
You know what? This didn't happen, did it?
It finally happened. It finally fucking happened.
Okay, so the best episode this week, which both of us thought was Girl's Last Tour. This was
absolutely.
Yeah, so we were looking at the synopsises of the episodes. This was supposed to be broken down into a 3-part episode, but it was just one continuous episode.
Because unlike a previous episode, it wasn't 3 separate thoughts broken into 3 episodes to explain that thought. It was 3 thoughts in one episode.
Yeah.
Technology, life, and I think it was evolution, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but...
I can't remember. It was something like that. But, this episode... Girls Last Tour is actually leading to something.
Yeah, it is definitely leading to something, and I was talking about this with you while we were watching the show, that maybe this is going to end off on a rather sad and depressing note because of the themes they were talking about this week.
Yeah, so the overarching theme is, what is alive? What is a life form? How do you define that? In a world where there's barely any life left, what do you define as a life form? And because they come across a machine, just an automata, a giant 4-legged Constructabot, just sort of wandering around, and then it's like, is that alive? It's like, no, that's not alive, because that's a machine.
Can't possibly be alive.
And again, use the stupid one, but she keeps asking these profound fucking questions.
Yeah.
She asked Chi, well, what if it came up to us and said, hello? Of its own volition. She really didn't have much of an answer. She even tells her, shut up.
Yeah, just shut up. You're just being an accidental genius here. I don't want to hear it.
And then they find... Aquarium, was it? It was technology, aquarium, and life. They come to an aquarium where there's one fish.
One fish.
And
That's you.
Yeah, she wants to
has
eat
a
it.
mission. She wants to eat this fish.
And then a tiny version of the giant mecha robot walks up to them and says, hello. And she's just sort of like,
You're not supposed to do that.
And it basically boils down, they're in a giant aquarium devoted to aquatic life, just preserving aquatic life.
Well, I don't think it was preserving. I think it was just a fish farm.
Maybe. But there's only one fish left, and you really wants to eat it. But the machine's like, please don't do that.
This automata is just like, my mission in life, is to protect this fish. I've got to keep it alive. You can't eat that fish.
So they basically, in exchange for a place to stay for the night, they agree, okay, we won't, well, Chi agrees we won't eat the fish. And Yu's like, but I want to eat the fish.
But the fish is probably tasty.
It's like, shut up! And she drags her along. And they go to one of the unused, pools. He's like, what do you say, there's like 120 of them? They just go to one next door that's not being used for anything because there's only one fish. And there's a weird, almost semi-pedophilic moment here where
I'm not even gonna focus on that. They're like
Yu's completely naked, and they show a little too much at times.
They're like trying to take a bath, and I thought like maybe this water was gonna be really freezing and cold, but they're like, no, this water's warm. It's comfortable and everything.
And not even that. Yu teaches herself to swim.
Yeah, she just jumps in. She's like, "Oh, I'm drowning. I can't breathe." And then, like a few seconds later, she's a master at swimming.
Well, she drowns, pops back up, and goes, "Oh, I'm floating." Huh? And then proceeds to become a master swimmer. Meanwhile, she's convinced to do the same thing, and she drowns. Like Yu has to save her.
Yeah, so that like part of the direction in this episode, they're having these fast, rapid shots between different scenes and everything. Yeah, and like that happens right there. It's kind of like that episode where it just kind of went really psychedelic with
dreams. Yeah, and basically the whole episode revolves around them asking the robot about what's alive. The robot's like, well, that depends on what your definition of life is. He actually keeps asking. He's like, well, is that alive? He's like, well, that depends on your definition of life. He's like, the world used to be alive, but now, they talk about people. It's like, there used to be people. They were alive, but they've left the facility.
Gone. They're just...
Even the world, the city and the world used to be alive, but she even asks, like, well, if it used to be alive, what is it now? And it's this great contemplation on life. It's a wonderful episode. And Yu actually starts to love the fish.
Yeah, she's just like, this fish is very precious to me.
Because the maintenance bot is feeding the fish, and the fish jumps out of the water to eat the food, and Yu is just like, that's the best thing ever. And it's just like,
and then
they talk about evolution of life, because like this fish normally does not jump out of the water, but this one has developed a bug in its system, because he talks in.
I don't really like the way they described it, because the automata described it, because he's like, it was just a bug. It's a bad programming. Blah blah blah.
Well,
that's what evolution is.
Well, that's the only way he can perceive it in his own mechanical way. He doesn't understand organic life. And then the big automata just decides, that this part of the facility isn't being used, to the best of its resources. It needs to be destroyed. And despite the tiny maintenance bot trying to talk him out of it, and I'm ascribing pronouns. Sorry, I'm ascribing pronouns. The big robot just says, like,
argument.
Nope.
And take this apart.
And Yu's like, we must save the fish!
Yeah, we gotta save the fish, and then it goes into this Mission Impossible sequence where she loads up explosives on him, and they just blow him up. Yeah, they basically blow up the giant Constructabot, and to save this fish. And then and again, this minor little talk about life is like, okay, we destroyed the Constructabot. Now you and the fish can, you the maintenance bot and the fish can live a little longer. It's like, yeah, we can. We can live a little longer. That's kind of what I was saying earlier, that this might be a depressing end to this series, because it seems to be hinting. Yeah, and right before the credits roll, it goes back into the eye shot of the big Constructabot as if it's still alive. Yeah, there's a stinger at the end, like a Marvel movie. Oh yeah, and then the stinger after the credits, where it's just the Constructabot, maintaining things like it always has. I thought this is going to be like a creepy end, like he is going to come back and just kill this other bot. He is like, you know what? You done fucked up. I'm pissed now. But that would have destroyed it. That would have destroyed the purity of this episode, which was such a great episode. It's so weird that this is the one that pushes it to the top. Yeah. But I loved the way that they went into it. They talked about the meaning of life from the girl's perspective. They talked about the meaning of life through the bot's perspective. And they even sort of, through a third-person perspective, talk about the meaning of life through the fish's perspective. And it's... The fish does not have any dialogue.
It doesn't. No, I mean, she and you sort of describe what the meaning of life must be for the fish, or the city, or the world. What is the meaning of life? And it's just...
You're getting way too deep there, man.
I thought the episode went way too deep in a good way. It was... They actually talked about, like, how, you know, because, you know, the robots, like, you know, when the city, you know, sustained massive damage, it stopped, you know, evolving. And it's just... Because the robot sees the world in the way a robot would see it, in its own way, in a way a robot lives.
Just like a mechanical world.
Yeah, and it's... Go ahead.
Yeah, this was a really good episode. You know, after all the things we're talking about, I've got higher expectations set for this show.
Yes, I've. It's no longer just cute girls doing cute things.
Yeah, it's not the same now.
No, the past couple of episodes have been ramping up to this. Even though they've still been having the cute girls doing cute girl things, they've been getting a little deeper each episode. And I'm really, really liking it. I want to see how this is going to end. I'm afraid, like you said, it's going to end sad.
I'm preparing myself, man. This is they're really hammering this life and death theme throughout this now, and you know we're in this post-apocalyptic world. There's not a happy end. There can't be a happy end.
There can't be, because it just... What are they going to find on these journeys? You know, that all they're finding is death. Absolutely everything, except for this episode. They finally really found life. Even though it's not necessarily the same life, you know, as they're experiencing. It's just very, very good in that way.
And I mean, the show is named Girls Last Tour. You know, none of the dabbing that they do in the opening sequence can save them from this just head-on collision with catastrophe.
So we're going to see how that turns out. And surprisingly, somehow, we joked about it. Girls Last Tour made it to #1 this week.
#1. This is blowing my mind. I did not see this coming at all, because this has consistently been at the bottom of our list.
Yeah, like 5 or 4 the entire time. But week 9, somehow this became a great episode. And those are our choices this week. So, guys, with it being episode, what was it, week
9.
Week 9. We have
4 episodes to go.
Yep, 3 weeks to go, and some things we're losing faith in, other things we're gaining more faith than we ever thought we would.
Whoa!
And it's been an interesting season so far.
Lots of ups and downs on every single show.
Yep, and I'm interested to see what happens. We have 3 weeks to go. That's enough time for certain shows to redeem themselves, and let's be perfectly honest, enough time for other great shows to fall flat on their face.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully you guys will continue this journey with us. And hey, if you're enjoying it so far, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, share it, or you can click on the annotations for other videos we've done. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all next time.